Okay, so let's have a look at the first one, sketch the graph, y equals this labeling all intercepts. In the exam on Monday, it will say labeling all intercepts or labeling all important features, something like that. So let's have a look. So as we talked about in the last few days, whenever it comes to sketching cubics, right, we're looking at two things. We're looking at, is it even degree or odd degree? What is it?
Odd degree.
I've got two here, I've got one here, so it's three, yeah, odd degree. Now look at my leading coefficient. Is it positive or is it negative?
Positive.
It's positive, so I know I'm gonna finish on this part. Then because it's odd, so I know I'm gonna be something like that. Yes?
Yeah.
Okay. So I know it's here and here. So that's the first thing I'm gonna decide. Then I look at my x-intercept. X-intercept is gonna be 1 and -2. And it bounces back at -2. Yeah? So 1, -1, -2, here, bounce back. So that's the first thing I'm gonna decide. Second thing. And third thing is y-intercept. Y-intercept is when x equals 0. 0 plus 2 is 2. 2 squared is 4. 0 minus 1 is -1. 4 times -1 is -4. Yeah? So somewhere there. So I've generate a sort of like a pattern now. Yeah, so here, bounce back, here, go like that. Is that what you guys get?
Yeah.
So here, bounce back, here. Is that what you guys get? Yeah. Very good. So you can do this, you can do the one on Monday, pretty much. Okay, let's move on to functions. So whenever remember that when I did the function topic, I said function, all it is I've got the input come in, I perform whatever expression, I have an output as the idea. Yeah? So far, that's all it is. When it comes to chapter 4, it's much more complicated, but for now, that's all it is. I've got input, I perform whatever expression, I evaluate my output. So here, input is a minus 1. Then I do my expression is that. Basically, all that means is when x equals a minus 1, I perform this expression, what is the final output? So all you have to do is whenever you place a, whenever you say x, I replace x by the bracket. What is the bracket? That is bracket. So if a minus 1 equals, whenever I say x, now I say x, what's x? X is the bracket. I put it in. That's it. Obviously, I'm going to simplify and just choose one of the multiple choice answers. So that is, yeah? Is that okay? All good? All right, then I will have a squared minus 4a 3 minus 5 minus 2. Hopefully that's one of the multiple choice answers. Good. Okay, this sort of thing, I guarantee 100% you have, like in any exam, you have sort of dynamic questions in ELM Advanced. You have this, you have this time, you have in terms 3 again for the area, almost guaranteed. Find the domain. So in other words, I have to make y the subject first, like this sort of thing. At the moment, y is not the subject. So I have to make y the subject, which becomes that. Yeah? And whenever you see this sort of thing, my question to you guys, and you should also ask yourself, what shape is this? What sort of graph is that? What sort of graph is that? Is it a straight line? Is it a parabola? Is it cubic? Is it hyperbola? What is that? What sort of graph is that? What? Start from H.
Hyperbola.
Hyperbola. What does hyperbola look like? I think you should video them. Good dance move. looks like that. Yeah? So, what's the domain for that?
Negative infinity.
Now you can see, here there's no restriction. Here is no restriction, but restriction happens at here. Because it's not going to touch the y-axis. Remember last, I think 2 days ago, I read on this part of the board, we said this one is the vertical asymptote. This one's the horizontal asymptote. Basically means getting really, really, really close, but not going to touch it. So, the domain is negative infinity to 0, union 0, infinity. That's the answer. Basically, it's everything, but not the y-axis. Because on the y-axis, x equals 0. This is y-axis, x equals 0. So going to, should I say the word stop? Maybe, like easier language, stop at here. In mathematical language, we call it discontinuity. Like, just not going to touch at here. Is it okay? For the assessment task on Monday, you also need to know interval notation, which I said many times, right? So in the exam, the question will say, express, basically this sort of thing, express the domain using interval notation. That is interval notation. We talked about it probably since from quite a few weeks ago, I think. Yeah? So hopefully people are comfortable with this by now. This one's a very, very typical exam question, like this sort of thing. So whenever we see square root, we know whatever it's under the square root has to be greater or equal to 0. I've mentioned that multiple times yesterday when I walk around to answer people's question. So normally you have that, right? Yes? But because this question is under the denominator can't equal to 0, so I have to remove that. Is it okay? Now from here, it's year 9. That is the answer. From here to here, the greater than becomes smaller than because I'm dividing a negative number. I have to change the direction. All of that is year 9. Now, here, interval notation, how do I do it? Negative infinity to x squared 25, very good. Negative infinity to 25, but because it's not equal to, it's a round bracket rather than a square bracket. All right, got one more question to go, and the rest I'll finish here, and the rest is your study time. Yeah. Okay. This sort of question you also see many, many times, almost in every past paper question, you will see one question like this. Find the values of blah, for which the quadratic equation, it will say 2 distinct 0, no 0, that sort of. Zeros basically means x-intercept. So whenever you see this sort of question, your mind should be thinking that and this one. So it's one of those cases, has no 0, is that case. So the parabola does not cut the x-axis. Yeah. So yesterday one of the multiple choice question or one of the short answer questions says 2 distinct real roots. That's this one. Yeah. Okay, what technique am I using in solving this one? What technique? B squared, keep going. B squared minus 4ac, very good. I do not worry about the whole quadratic formula because I'm not finding the answer. I only want to know how many roots there are, how many zeros there are. So that's why I'm only focusing on B squared minus 4ac. Yeah, if you write down whole quadratic formula A, wasting time in exam. B, not useful. You only need this part. Good. Okay, what's B? Somebody tell me what's B in this case? Negative 1, very good. Notice I've got the bracket here. I've addressed before, we must have the bracket, otherwise the whole thing is wrong. The whole thing, the meaning has changed. Minus 4, what's A?
1.
What's C? 3.
P.
P.
Wait, why are we
Ask.
why are we casing the K in this?
Okay. So whatever is before x squared, that's A. That's B. That is C. All right. Now, that's your expression for discriminant delta. We want to know has no zeros. Now we're linking back to the question now, has no zeros, which means delta has to be smaller than 0. Yeah. Now to me, this is this sort of thing again. Almost the same thing, in just different numbers. So inequality. Now notice again, that's what I mean, exactly the same thing. I'm dividing by a negative number, I'm changing direction. When I say changing direction, I mean smaller than becomes greater than. Yeah, that's it. That's the answer. However, if the question asks for interval notation, it's gonna be that. If the question didn't specify interval notation, you can leave like that and you will get your mark. So either way is fine.